You are back on the muster for a Friday afternoon with Andy Muir. This afternoon, we are heading up country to around the Kenzie Basin Way. We're catching up with Robbie Shepherd, known as the Gooserooter from Geraldine on social media. Doing great things on social media as well as Robbie, just regarding mental health. I'm a real advocate. There's some people out there doing some really good work. And Robbie's one of them, and we're going to have a yarn with him this afternoon on the muster. Robbie, thanks for joining us.
No worries, not a problem at all.
Firstly, mate, give us a bit of background about yourself, and you've become an advocate for mental health, especially rurally. How did it come about?
Well, I actually spent about 15 years or so milking and managing dairy farms. Then I thought, bugger this, I was sick of getting shit on. But I was doing all the on-farm maintenance and repairs, and I thought, if I can do a good job with the shit gear that the farm supplied me, what can I do with good gear? So I brought myself a welder and called myself an engineer. Yeah. And then I went out engineering, and I was just talking to different farmers and that sort of thing about life. But also along the way, I sort of had a bit of a meltdown when I was doing one big farm conversion. I ended up in the loony bin for a few nights. And ever since then, I'd sort of quite openly talk about it. But then there was one incident with a big New Zealand organisation that basically discriminated against me because of my mental health, and I fought back and I won. And then it kept bugging me, and then years later I actually did a video about it, talking about it, and the amount of people that popped up and sent me messages and say, hey mate, we got treated the same way, but we just up and left. And it wasn't just local people, it was people from Australia, America, the UK. And I thought, shit, my videos are getting a wee bit of a reach. So I started doing more videos, and now I go out and talk to different trucking groups, trucking companies, lions, young farmers, just about life, mental health and that sort of thing.
Do you think the stigma around mental health rurally has changed over the last few years?
Yes, it has. A guy popped up on one of my videos, and he made the comment, why have we got so many mental health issues now compared to 20 years ago? And I replied back to him and I said, for the same reason we've got more open gay and lesbian relationships and marriages now compared to 20 years ago, because it's more socially acceptable to talk about it. And that's the thing, of the more stuff is talked about, the less people are discriminated against.
Do you find you get a lot of people messaging you, just saying, thank you for bringing this to the fore? I've got issues myself, I've got problems I really want to get dealt to, but I don't know how to approach it?
Yeah, I get heaps of messages and phone calls, and when I go to truck shows or farming shows or take the Fordson out, which, I don't know, I put a V8 engine in a Fordson for the tractor pull in Mayfield. So I go out and, when I'm at shows with the Fordson or the tractor pull or whatever, sometimes it's those wee things that are actually the icebreakers.
Yeah.
And when you're talking to people, it's almost like 20 questions, but not direct questions. And they'll be in the workshop at home or on the side of the road having the yarn to truckies and that sort of thing. If you ask the right sort of questions, that people open up a bit more. And I've had people in here that have had just full-on meltdowns about life.
It's because it's something that has happened more often than not recently, given the events. We've had COVID, we've had this, we've had that. We're starting to find the new normal now, Robbie. So you're finding yourself, are you travelling around the South Island as such and just promoting the mental health message, or what are you doing?
At the moment, I'm just doing videos, and I just go to local groups, but I have just got my hands on a caravan, and the whole idea with that is like, when I go out and talk to the farmers groups, young farmers and that, they have their meetings once a month, and that's, an organised event. But with the truckies, some of them I've done, they've had their toolbox meetings in the morning with a barbecue breakfast, and I've gone and talked to them. But then there's other people that are, long-haul drivers on the road, for their 14 hours a day, and they only really stop for their half-hour break. And I thought, well, hang on, I'll get the caravan, I'll get a bit of sign writing on it, and I'll go and park up in some of the lay-bys in the area and just have the tea and coffee. And if someone wants to stop and tell me the latest knock-knock joke or try and convince me why they're driving the world's best, being a Kenworth, which I hate, or if they actually need to stop and talk about life.
Yeah.
That's the whole goal. And I haven't even got out with the caravan yet, and I've already had messages from people in the North Island, oh, when are you coming up here? And it's like, let me get it kicked off down here, and then, I'll basically start a tiki tour of going around, like talking to the truck drivers on the side of the road through the day, and then tee up different events and groups at night with the farmers and Lions clubs and that sort of thing, and talk about life and just bring it to the top of the discussion pile so that it's actually discussed more often.
Now, the best way to connect with you, Robbie, is obviously on social media, on your Facebook page. Would that be correct?
Yes.
Tell us a bit about it, because your video's up there. I've followed it for a few years now, and you're talking the language that truckies can associate with and rural people associate with. You're talking the jargon, I suppose, for want of a better word. And it's a matter of people being able to identify with you as well, isn't it?
Well, that's the thing I've noticed with going out and talking to different groups. I've been the engineer, I've been the firefighter, I've been the dairy farmer, I've been the truck driver, tractor driver, blah, blah, blah. So when I go out, I can figure out what group, plan ahead. I know which group I'm talking to. I can use the same story, but I just adapt it to the group I'm talking to at the time.
Just to wrap up, Robbie, and thanks for your time this afternoon. It's greatly appreciated. It's Robbie Shepherd, the Gooserooter from Geraldine. Is that right?
Yeah, that's dead right. My Facebook page is called The Gooserooter at Truck This and Truck That.
Hey, Robbie, thanks very much for your time this afternoon on the muster. We do have a lot of truck drivers listening as well. Shout out to everybody on the roads this afternoon. We appreciate your time, and we'll catch up in the near future, because I do think what you're doing is a bloody great thing for rural New Zealand. Thanks for your time.
Awesome, mate. Appreciate it, and always happy to help where I can. Robbie
Shepherd there, the Gooserooter from Geraldine. Go and look him up on Facebook. Pushing the mental health issue, and why not? It's anything we've got to do these days to get the message out. It's a good thing.